Sincerely thanking everyone for tuning in. Today we're broadcasting live on Instagram. I don't know how long Instagram is going to stay up due to my battery power or the weak connections. I don't know. We're also broadcasting live on Facebook, and we will be uploading the live video to YouTube shortly after the broadcast. I got an email. I got a message probably about 2 weeks ago from a concerned individual who listens faithfully to my YouTube broadcast commentaries, and we were talking about the drug Flocka. And the person was, well, it was the broadcast prior to that one too, but the person was telling me how they feel after listening to my broadcast, and that it really depresses them when they listen to my broadcast. But they know that what is being said is the truth. It's just that life is depressing when you are in a world where it seems like some really feel what's happening in the world, where others aren't concerned about it at all. And I tried to comfort this individual with words of encouragement, but I wanted to go deeper into what I was saying about the way a person can feel more emotionally than others. And I wanted to make it relative to biblical text, to Quranic text, and relative to Jesus Christ. But I'm not going to mention too much religion in this one, with the exception of one quote out of the Bible. Other than that, I'm going to be talking about empaths. Now, empaths is part of the word of empathy or empathetical. And the headline that I used for this broadcast was, Jesus Christ is an empath, and so are many of you. And then I labeled many different things that are indicative of an empath. And the reason I did that, by God's permission, is because I want us to know that we're not crazy in the way that we feel, that we're not crazy in having emotional ties to people and sincerely feeling what people feel. We're not crazy because we empathize with people, but at the same time, that becomes a weakness amongst a narcissist. And a narcissist is someone who cares nothing about you, only about themselves, their success, their family. So an empath is closer to God than any other person. Most of the people in the church aren't empaths. They're just following a religion, and religion is very dangerous. So I want to go into this. It's only 3 pages long. We'll be done very fast, God willing. Now, empaths, you need to know what Satan is after. That is the subtitle. You need to know what Satan is after, because Satan is not some red devil under the ground. Satan is an individual. Satan is a mindset that says, I will take advantage of all of those who are not as intelligent as I am, who are not as strong as I am, who is not as adept to the times as I am. So many of us are going through this motion of church, but we go through church all of our lives, and we are religious institutions all of our lives, and we never learn a thing other than listening to music, shouting, and the name Jesus. But Jesus is a powerful, powerful entity that was set before us in order to teach us how we're supposed to be. Now, the word empathy, the imaginative projection of a subjective state into an objective so that the objective appears to be infused with it. That's the first definition. The second one, the action of understanding, being aware of, being sensitive to, and vicariously experiencing the feelings, thoughts, and experiences of another, of either the past or present, without having the feelings, thoughts, and experiences fully communicated in an objectively explicit manner. Also, the capacity of this. Now, empathy is when you hear a person say, Lord, my back hurts so bad, and you are in tune with that person, and you begin to feel sympathy pains. Empathy is in business when a person comes to you. Now, they are a narcissist. They have the money to pay you, but they want to try to play you. So they come to you. Now, I don't have a lot of money now. Now, we on a budget, and I just want to do this for my child. And because you are an empath, you begin to feel emotional towards what they're saying. You cut them a break in business. You lose money, but they get what they want because they are able to not care about your feelings, whereas you care about theirs. So most empaths are never successful in business because we allow the client to dictate what we are worth. And you should never allow anyone to tell you what you are worth. You determine what you are worth based on your abilities and your connection with God. Now, empathy is a good thing. Jesus Christ walked in empathy. That's why he could balance his discernment. All of the prophets and messengers throughout all scriptures were empaths, chosen by God because of their ability to see both sides of a thing. I've had people to tell me that I am a double crosser. I've had people to tell me that I lie because one person tell me something and I say, I understand what you're saying. And another person comes and tell me their side of the story and I say, I understand what you're saying. I honestly understand. I honestly understand why a person dislikes me. If they can say, I dislike you because of this, I can understand that. And I can understand why you should like me as well. But I understand both sides of a thing. And if you have this quality, you are in the category of an empath. Jesus Christ understood both sides of a thing. All of the prophets and messengers chosen by God understood both sides of a thing. Empaths don't judge a thing when under the watchful guidance of God. Empaths use discernment to weigh the evidence for or against right and wrong. Now, Jesus Christ is a prime example, as I said, of an empath. He understood Mary Magdalene. You remember Mary Magdalene being accused of prostitution, of being a whore? Jesus understood Mary Magdalene and charged her not as those who were committing the same crimes, but thought themselves above the law. There were people accusing Mary Magdalene of prostitution, but yet they were using her services. But they thought she was the sinner, but they weren't. In other words, the person selling the sex is the sinner, but the person paying for the sex is not. That's what they thought. But Jesus didn't charge the woman with the crime, but those who thought themselves above the law didn't even understand that they were in the same category as Mary Magdalene. So Jesus said to her, go and sin no more, because he knew the intimate construct of the woman labeled and found guilty of prostitution. And at his death on the cross, that woman, Mary Magdalene, was present, where all of those people who walked with Christ and said they believed in him weren't there. Mary Magdalene and Mary, the mother of Jesus, I think, and one more walked kind of behind Peter or one of them. But Mary Magdalene was present. So God willing, I want to talk to us a little bit today about empaths. And this is directed towards the individual who was telling me about their feelings and how they felt bad, that they always felt for other people, could always listen to other people's problems. But when it came time for them to be heard and to be able to express themselves, there was no one there for them. So I want to talk today a little bit about empaths and why Satan develops all forms of distractions to keep the minds of those who can tune into God occupied with foolishness, occupied with drugs, with sports, with sex, with money, with the pursuit of happiness, whatever that is, with religion. Music in all forms are all designed to avert the attention of those who can really change the world for the benefit of all people. Now, Satan knows, and I'm not talking about some red devil under the ground. I'm talking about a physical man, a physical woman who wants to be in control and have power over other people. Satan, the devil. We become little devils when we do evil knowingly. So Satan knows that his time depends upon the righteous staying asleep. The empath is awakened by tuning into the universe. The empath can hear the vibrations of God in the atmosphere. The empath, when in an open state, can feel the energies of others. That's why the Bible would say, and Jesus, knowing their thinking. The Bible says, and Jesus, knowing their thinking, went this way. And Jesus, knowing their thinking, did this and did that. He knew their thinking because he was in tune with them, because he was an empath. He was empathetic to the emotions of others. I can't stay in rooms with a lot of people. I can't be around a person who I can look at and tell that they're lying to me. They draw all of my energy like a vampire. All of these fake smiles and fake happiness, and that is what Facebook and social media is for. We put up this facade of happiness every single day. Some people got to post up a picture of themselves every single day to make you believe that because they're in a certain religion or in a certain financial bracket, they're happy all the time. And that is a lie. An empath can see through that. So I could never hang with a group of people if I had to conform to what you wanted me to be. I am an individual. And empaths are individuals. And we need that individuality in order to function and create. Now, I can be around people who are sincere and real. If you notice that Jesus never hung around people, and even with his 12 disciples, he told them, there are many things that I can't tell you because you can't handle it. Now, most of the people that you see on drugs or engaged in some alternative lifestyle are empaths who are unable to cope with the unending burden of knowing that things aren't as they should be, aren't as God intended them to be. That is a very heavy burden to carry. For a narcissist, a psychopath, a sociopath, they don't carry that burden because they don't care. All they care about is how they can succeed at the hands of others. And they're very successful because they are stone grinders. They don't care about what happens in the middle, what happens in the mind of the individual. They have a goal and they're going to achieve it. And a lot of times that's not a bad thing. The bad thing about the empath is that we are so subject to feeling other people's emotions, we give in to them. As a child, I used to take the brunt of the arguments, the fussing, whatever was there, because I didn't want everybody to be upset. I was the same way as an adult. I would work for hours on a bicycle for my brother because he was sad his bike was broken, and I'd work on it and fix it, and as soon as I fix it, he'd jump on it and go hang with his friends because I didn't want to see him sad. Now, I thought that I'm a nut. There's something wrong with me. But God led me on a path through my life, and I understand, and I want to share that understanding. This is my charity. It won't get a lot of likes and a lot of shares and a lot of looks because I'm not doing anything stupid, But if I was doing something stupid, I would be that guy. I'm not going to do anything stupid. I'm going to try, by God's permission, to talk about the things that are affecting the thoughts and emotions of people. So we're talking about the empath. The empath needs something to drown out hearing, feeling, and knowing what others think and feel. When we are out of sync with God and the universe, we make a lot of mistakes in our use of discernment. So many pastors, so many ministers, gurus, businessmen, etc., fell out of sync with their empathetic nature and continue to follow their low desires, and in turn their actions produce equal and opposite reactions. As I said before about Bishop Eddie Long, I believe he was a man of God at a point, but he fell out of sync because an empath takes on the emotions of others. That's why I told people I could never smoke marijuana or drink alcohol, because I would learn how to do it better than anyone else. I take things all the way to the limit. Right now on Facebook Live, all you're supposed to do is just hold your camera up and film yourself. And here I am trying to run lower thirds, time, images, all these things. I'm trying to build a system that will run these things smoothly. That's what an empath does. Now, the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his best followers were still on the streets. They're on the streets because they aren't born to conform to the hell of this system called religion. They can't conform to this lie called religion. You can't lie to a person about your connection with God and expect them to believe you. Anyone in their right mind that knows that you are not connected with God cannot follow you. But when you're dealing with people who are gullible, they follow you. So you buy things and make it look like you're not in any type of stress in life so that you can attract people and pull them into your fold, but your intentions is not to raise them in and elevate their level of vibrations to God. Your intentions are to enslave them and make them think as long as they pay their tithes, they are in oneness with God. Who told you that? So the Most Honorable Elijah Muhammad said that his best followers, the best followers of religion, of God, are still in the street. Why are they out there? Because they can't conform to the lie that we have built up called religion. Their very nature won't allow them to do it. So in most cases, the wicked occupy all positions of power in the world, and they will continue to do so until the empaths come together, tune into one frequency that agrees with the prophets and messengers of God and agree with God and do what is necessary to change the world. Jesus Christ knew that the people of the world were liars. Let's turn to Matthew 23 and 27 of the Bible, and this is the very last biblical text I'm going to say. I just wanted to make a point. In Matthew 23:27 of the King James Version of the Bible, it reads, "Woe unto you scribes, writers, and Pharisees, hypocrites!" Exclamation point. "For you are like unto white sepulchres, which indeed appear beautiful outward, but are within full of dead men's bones and of all uncleanness." Jesus knew this about those who pretended to be in a oneness with God, pretended to be right with the world because they had their financial game up. Now, God has instructed me to go into the qualities of an empath so that those of you who may be experiencing some of the feelings will know where to go, will know what to do, and at this point, in order to align our thoughts with God's thoughts, know how to create the changes that are necessary in order to put us on the right path to God. So I want to go into a few things, and then we're done, about empaths. This is the 19 Report. Brother Johnny coming to you live out of Manning, South Carolina, broadcasting live on Instagram and broadcasting live on Facebook Live. I don't know how the videos will turn out, but we're going to try and upload them back to social media after I'm done. Now, the qualities of an empath. Listen to these and see if you fit in this category. And understand that because you have some of the qualities of an empath, that does not mean you're 100% in tune with the universe. This is a gift from God and a curse as well that has to be honed and toned and made to be effective in every aspect of life. Now, the empaths are typically known as the healers of the world. They're the people whose senses are heightened, the ones that not only see the different energies of the world, but actually feel them and experience them. Sometimes I can see an aura around a person. It's like a glow. Sometimes I can see it in their eyes that what they're saying and what their eyes are saying don't match up. So I know somewhere in there there's a lie. Sometimes I can feel when I walk past a person their buildup of anger, and I know if I bump this person, if I look at them, that's going to give them the catalyst to act a fool. So a lot of times I'll drop my head, I'll look the other way. Sometimes I can tell when women want attention. Sometimes I can smell when women are at their sexual peak. I can smell them, that they are aroused. I can smell pregnant women, even in their first trimester or whatever. I can tell you're pregnant, even if they have on different colognes. And many of you are higher than that. You're able to tune in higher than that. This is just where I am. Now, those who are not empaths might think that this ability to feel what others feel is a gift. But if you can convince an empath to talk about their gift, they might tell you that it is not always sunshine and rainbows. In fact, it is quite often not very fun having the gift at all. And this is the God's honest truth, especially when you're trying to have a conversation with someone and you know that they're making up the conversation as they go along. You know that when you listen to them, you're listening, you're hearing them, you're using discernment, you're deciphering what is being said, and you know that you're going to carry that conversation. But then you talk and you know that they're not listening to you. These are social vampires. Empaths, because of their gift, so many people rely on them for support. Does that sound familiar? Empaths are always, almost always, trusted because they make people feel safe. My wife and I were in the store on yesterday, and the lady behind the counter just started off the bat telling us about her life, her children, her husband. I'm like, oh my God, I didn't come in here for that. But I listened. Just the other day, a gentleman was talking, and he saw me, he ran over to the car, and he told me, man, my mom is this, my dad is that, and this is happening, all these things happening, and I'm listening to him, and I said, have you considered going to a psychiatrist? Have you considered going to someone who can help you decipher all of this that's in your head, because I can feel it. Empaths are almost always trusted because they make people feel safe. And while the empath is capable of handling the emotions of others, they also experience quite a bit of stress because of it. Now, you may see me at my weight right now. I'm close to my weight. But a few days or weeks from now, you may see me. My face is fatter because I've taken on someone else's burden. Right now, since last night, situations have occurred with family, and I've taken on their burden. I really have like a sharp pain going down my left arm right now. I can barely lift it because that thought is in my head. And I'm probably thinking more about them than they're thinking about their own situation. But I can see where this can be resolved. If we could have a conversation and I could talk to this individual, but I know that it's not going to happen. So I carry that weight. I can't wait to get outside right now and actually walk a little bit to get off some of the stress. Empaths are most susceptible to the negative energies in life. Their intense ability to feel can't get away from the deep-rooted evils that exist in the world. This is what the young lady was talking to me about that prompted me, that encouraged me to make this commentary about what she's feeling. You can't escape the deep-rooted evils that exist in the world. Their deep understanding of how the world exists and operates is enough to confuse and sadden them. She mentioned that she's sad and confused sometimes. This is why you are an empath. You have to begin to look into empathetic information and learn how to use your gift. You have to become more hard towards people. You have to force yourself to do it. Even when your mind is saying, oh, don't do it, you got to go past that. And pow, you got to hit them. You got to hit them because they're going to continuously take advantage of you because they know your nature. Oh, man, Keith is soft. No, you can ask a few people about that. Not soft, just don't want to start a big ruckus over something small. But if you bring it, and Allah say to bring it, I will bring it. Promise. But that is the nature of an empath, always feeling confused and sad. What they can't understand is why this type of energy exists in the first place. If all it does is hurt others. It doesn't hurt others. It is a gift. Jesus is the example of mastering that gift of empathy. He didn't take no shorts when it came to what God said. He didn't make no excuses for wrongdoing. It is what it is. But if he saw a better quality in you, then he understood that you were evil, but there is the potential for good. We just say, I forgive. Dylan Roof, that killed the 9 in Charleston, he ain't asked no forgiveness. We just forgive. That is not godly. Godly forgiveness requires an action and a reaction. If a person didn't ask you for forgiveness, what you forgiving them for? The dark side of being an empath is constantly being exhausted and fatigued from the energies you absorb. I absorb so much around clubs and things like that, even going to restaurants. When I go into Walmart, I always say, Bismillah Rahman Rahim, or in the name of Allah, the Beneficent, the Merciful, or God help me, or Jesus protect me. Because all of these energies, When I come into my own home, before I step through the threshold, I always say, Bismillah Rahman Rahim. God, leave those energies that I carried with me out the door. Don't bring them in the house, because I've brought them in before and they're bad. And you bring them in and they stay in your home. This is reality. This is not something spooky. It's real. Now, because the empath never dares break down or lose composure, they quietly observe, acknowledge, and feel. And that is me to a level. That is many of you to a higher level. Many of you have mastered empathy or being an empath. And you should share that information with others, because the world is being overwhelmed by evil. The evil is narcissistic and psychopathic and sociopathic and more paths. But the good seems to bow down to the evil. And the good bows down to the evil, hoping that the evil will sympathize. During slavery, most of us never fought back because we hoped one day white folks would stop hitting on us. So we marched and we protest, but we never fought back. It wasn't until we started fighting back. Fist for a fist, gun for a gun, eye for an eye. Wait a minute. We got to check this thing. They're fighting back. You saw Nat Turner, the story of Nat Turner, and how he said God told him to get rid of these white folk. They cut Nat Turner into pieces. They burned him. They scattered his body all over the earth because they didn't want nothing to do with nothing like that again. Same thing with Sojourner Truth. And, it's so many of them. But they were empathetic. They tuned into God, and then they took that empathy and became warriors. As many others do, empaths want to be loved and accepted for who they are. I thrive on love. I thrive on the attention of doing the right thing and being rewarded for that. But that is far between. It's not a lot of rewards for doing and saying the right thing. People are angry at you when you say there is a problem. Even though there is a problem, they don't want to hear there's a problem. Empaths want to be loved and accepted for who they are, but it is their generosity and kindness that often sees them being taken advantage of by those who only take and never give. Those are your narcissists, your socio and psychopaths. They're always taking something. Social vampires. Empaths are givers by all means, ready to show kindness to those in need at all times. Does that sound like you? As a businessman here in Manning, South Carolina, there is no other business person that goes to the extent that we go to, that I go to. My wife will tell you, I stay up at night when it's time to do something, making sure that I perfect what I'm doing for the client, because you are important to me. I don't want to fail in what you have envisioned for what you want. I don't see the dollar. I don't touch the money until after I'm done. I value that. Most people don't. They take your money and you love them because they take your money. But the person who goes to the extreme, no, I'm not going to stop going to the extreme. That's my business model. But it's painful. And you find that most empaths always fail in business because they're too soft. We're too soft. Did I read that? Because carrying that weight is more me. Okay. The dark side of being an empath is not knowing that being so selfless places an incredible heavy burden on oneself. Even the empath that do recognize the burdensome nature of their selflessness often choose to ignore it, because carrying that weight is more meaningful than letting it fall on someone else's shoulder. God knows that's me. I'll take the burden. I'll take the weight. That's when I began to realize in the last 20 years just how weak people that I admired really are. They're not very strong people, because they can dish out, they can call you black, ugly, nigger, all this. But the minute you say something to them, they break down and they want to fight. Very weak people. And I've seen that over the years, and it has enlightened me a whole lot, and I'm grateful for it. I'm grateful to God for it. Because people I thought were warriors, I really realized by God's permission I could beat them with my pinky. Just hurt their feelings. They're very emotional. The darker side of being an empath is knowing that you're willing to neglect both your body and mind for the sake of others. A neglect that builds over the years, eventually resulting in the need to go soul searching once again. A practice that we only take up when we feel completely lost. And that's why I tell people all the time, alone time is so important. Meditation is so important. To sit still in a dark room, as I told my niece, and whatever comes to your mind, don't throw it out. Let it come and work all the way through. You might see yourself sleeping with your mama, sleeping with your daddy, or doing some stuff that you never thought you would do. These are thoughts in your head that came from someone else. Work through them, and then you will find yourself. And then you can go back out and do again. But you got to work through these things. You can't keep carrying that weight. Ministers are committing suicide because they're carrying the weight of their organizations. Ministers are getting lumps in their breasts, lumps in their stomachs, those who are doing prison ministries, because they're carrying the weight of trying to get the message across to people who don't understand it or refuse to understand it. We're almost done. The dark side of being an empath is knowing that even when they fall in love, they never do so entirely. They simply aren't capable of giving every ounce of their heart to someone else. Why am I not capable of giving my heart to someone else? Because I know you're not. My ex-wife, many of you know her. I won't call her name. I gave her my heart, and she gave me her butt to kiss because I am a empath and I empathize with her situation, and she took advantage of it and brought home children that weren't biologically mine, but out of empathy, I gave them my last name and I loved them as my own, but now they're gone. They don't even talk to me. Don't even call me. Don't say, hey, nigga, hey, dog. Don't say nothing. As if though but they live with their mama. As if though I did wrong. I kept them out of trouble, kept them out of harm's way, kept them focused on their work, kept them focused. But the minute they got their own mindset, they took advantage of my empathy. But I'm strong enough by God's permission to deal with that. Out of sight, literally out of mind. If that's what you choose, I did what I was supposed to do. So an empath can never love, but my relationship now, I am in a relationship with another empath. We understand each other. So she can give me 100% of her love and I can give her back 100% with no trouble at all. God intended it that way. At the same time, both of us have that narcissistic side of us that can take care of ourselves if necessary. Now, empaths know that if they simply aren't capable of giving every ounce of their heart to someone else, they know that if they try, the intensity of the passion would most likely be too much to handle for themselves and for their partners. This is absolutely true. Sometimes when I first met my wife, I didn't understand how she could have so much love for me so fast. And it frightened me until I realized that I had the same love for her. And I'm like, okay, oh yeah, I like this. This is good. This is good. And it is good for you in your relationships when you focus on it. But this is why they always keep a little part of themselves hidden away from the rest of the world. They keep a guard up out of necessity. Now, I'd mentioned earlier about someone I would really love to help out of a situation. It's a mental, physical, and spiritual situation. And I know by God's permission, and my wife knows, that we can help this person. But I have to keep that part of me hidden because I know in all of their godliness, they would never understand what I'm talking about when I go to them and tell them what is necessary for them to get out of the situation they're in. Empaths keep a guard up out of necessity, even if they want nothing more than to let it down and succumb to overwhelming love. Most people are lacking love. The scripture says that God is love. God is not money. God is not cars. God is not sex. God is love. And we are lacking in love, so we are so bitter. We run around. Women now can open their legs up to anybody because they're looking for love, and they go home to their husband like ain't nothing ever happened. Why? Because we are becoming numb to our own feelings internally. Because this world teaches us to project everything we want outside of ourselves. If you get this, this, and this, you should be happy. That should be all you need. And then you got this, this, and this, but you're miserable, but you're saying to yourself, well, I'm supposed to be happy, so I might well be happy. Empaths. The dark side of being an empath is the war that is always being waged within self. In every single broadcast that I've done for the past 10 years, it has always been directed towards the self. Most people want to blame the police. Most people want to blame homosexuals. Most people want to blame black drug dealers or crooked politicians. Right now, everybody want to blame Trump. But it's what's going on inside of the individual that can trump Trump, that can trump anything that we're going through. If we begin to understand who we are and face up to the reality and don't lie to ourselves, God can come and heal us. But as long as we are liars, you can't benefit from a lie. My mama say, if you lie, God rest her soul. If you lie, you cheat, you'll steal. So if you got a liar, a cheater, and a stealer, how's the world going to get better? It can't. It may appear to be so, but it can't. We're almost done. A few more lines. The darker side of an empath is the war that is always being waged within, the war that they waged against the sadness, the darkness, and the sorrowful side of themselves that is always trying to rear its ugly head and lead them into self-destruction. As I said earlier, most of your alcoholics, drug addicts, and people who are confused are looking for a way out of their own thinking. Most times when a husband and wife really love each other, but they can't love as intense, or they're afraid of the man is afraid of the intense love that the woman is giving. The woman is afraid of the intense love that the man is giving. They go out and cheat. They break a good thing out of fear. We self-sabotage ourselves in business and in life because of fear. And then we need something to calm the fear. So we go to drugs, and Satan says, I got a new drug for you. I got some synthetic marijuana that can do this, 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 and this. And we take it and justify it. Weed from the earth. Weed might be from the earth, but it's still psychedelic. Mushrooms are from the earth too, and they're psychedelic. Frogs are from the earth, but if you lick the back of a poison frog, it'll kill you. So your justification for smoking weed is not justifiable. Just say, I love to get high. I can go with that. God can go with that because that's the truth. The only way empaths can fight this gift successfully is by learning to distinguish between emotions that are their own and emotional energies that are imposters, invading from the outside. Empaths need people who understand who they are, people they can talk to, and who will listen. Empaths need to be able to let down the wall they've built up around their feelings so that they can let their empathetic selves do good in their own lives. You find, and this is a sin, that most people want to make sure that everybody else's life is good besides their own. I told you I was like that. I would always try to make people happy and I would be sad. That's a sin. It's a sin to make sure. I used to conduct a study group, several study groups, and I wanted so bad for the people in the study groups to understand so they could elevate themselves, but I never felt like I was supposed to be elevated. So God would always take me out of that position so that I could think a little bit more, put into perspective who I am, and what I'm capable of doing, as you should. Empaths need to be able to let down the walls they've built up around their feelings so that they can let their emphatic selves do good in their own lives. I had the water to drink. My mouth is dry. Otherwise, Empaths are destined to fight a war within themselves that never ends. And this is what you are seeing. People running after drugs, running after women, confused, looking for some type of, and children are born empaths. Children are born tuning into things, and you lie to them. How you feeling? I'm feeling good, but I got a feeling that you're not feeling well. Okay, I'm not feeling well. Your feeling is correct. So I wanted to share that information with you today, and I am hoping that, anyone paying attention anywhere, that this will be beneficial information, because if you're not paying attention, we're just going to go through another cycle of pain, and then someone else will rise up and say the same things again. And if we're not paying attention and put into action what is being offered, then we just go through the same cycles over and over again. Someone just posted up something about millennials and how they're living in their vans and, not so concerned with materialism. And I responded to them, I hope you realize that this is nothing more than the Woodstock era. It is just history repeating itself. This is a recycle, because we never get things right and we have to do it again. So don't think yourself too big or too small. This is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report, Manning, South Carolina, thanking everyone for tuning in. Study and search information about empath and empathetic people and empathy. Jesus Christ is an empath, and so are many of you. Thank you for tuning in. This is Brother Johnny of the 19 Report.